partnerships and collaboration. It's really, really critical that you all see that the continuum care community and the workforce system really need to be in partnership to really address the needs of folks who are experiencing homelessness. And that workforce is an intricate part of a solution to address issues like homelessness, the better opportunities we will have for really less long and sustained solutions. I want to tell you a little bit about the workforce system as a whole. The Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, we are the agency responsible for what we call the Title I program, which is administered through 22 local workforce areas across the state. And you'll get to meet some of them today. These 22 local workforce areas actually work with long-term adults who've been unemployed, workers who've lost their jobs, no fault of their own, oftentimes as a result of a layoff, and then youth between the ages of 14 and 24. And the real emphasis here is working with groups who oftentimes are unable to re-engage with employment or engage with employment in any meaningful way. And we work with those populations that are most on the margins and have been historically underrepresented in economic recoveries and in opportunities that really help them build wealth, help them go on a career path, and really help sustain their families. So the workforce system, as we know it, is one that's really there to help those folks most in need of services to get them on a career path. And we believe that this initiative, working with our partners at DHS and with all of you out in the field, will give us an opportunity to really learn how we can best help those who are experiencing homelessness. So with that said, I have the pleasure of introducing Christine Haley, and her work has really led to this effort and is really something that we really feel gives us the foundational pieces to begin this work and to really see where we can be the most effective in bringing workforce services and homeless services together towards a common solution. So with that, I'll turn it over to Christine. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Julio, and it's wonderful to be with all of you this morning. Thank you, Julio, for your leadership in this area and for your work and your team's work in ensuring that we are all here today, which we are so excited about at this meet and greet. So I'm going to share. So my name is Christine Haley. I serve as the Chief Homelessness Officer for the state of Illinois. I'm also the chair of the co-chair of the Community Advisory Council on Homelessness and the chair of the Interagency Task Force on Homelessness. I'm going to share a handful of slides that talks about what is Home Illinois, our strategic plan to prevent and end homelessness, and what our strategic goals are in this time. So who we are as our Interagency Task Force on Homelessness, our Community Advisory Council, our Community Advisory Council on Homelessness, and our Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, we have a vision that in the state of Illinois, that no member of our state lives in a shelter or in overcrowded housing, that workforce and jobs are critical to our vision, so that Illinoisans who are earning a living wage allow them to afford housing in their community without fear of eviction. And that when there is a housing crisis that occurs for residents, that there is a safety net that allows a quick resolution to stabilize housing. And our mission as the task force is to coordinate across the 16 state agencies that are part of the Interagency Task Force on Homelessness to align strategy and investments. And in that alignment, to partner with our community members to build a strong safety net and permanent housing for Illinois facing homelessness and housing insecurity. we work throughout the infrastructure of the interagency task force that includes the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to realize that vision. So some background on numbers. So our most recent analysis is that there are about 121,000 people who experience homelessness in our state each year. So this number is from 2022 data. We know that there's about 44,000 people in 2020 and 44,000 people who experience literal homelessness, which means folks living on the streets, living in a place not meant for human habitation like their car or an abandoned building, or living in shelters. And that the vast majority of people experiencing homelessness actually do not have mental illnesses or substance use. So 18% live with a serious mental illness, 12% live with chronic substance use, 5% are veterans, 8% are fleeing domestic violence situations, about 6% are young adults ages 18 to 24, and another 5% are young adults ages 18 to 24 who are parenting themselves. We also include in our counts that those households that children who are in doubled up situations, living temporarily with family and friends. So in our state school year of 2020-21, there were 76,794 children who were counted in Illinois as living in doubled up situations. And we know that our safety net systems aren't able to serve all those who seek shelter. So in the Illinois Department of Human Services funded emergency shelters in state fiscal year 22, there were instances of 9,837 individuals who were turned away from shelter because there was not enough space, and 2,651 children who were turned away because there was not enough space. So we know that there's significant work we need to do on building the safety net, and that about 11% of our state's estimated literally homeless population are from rural continuums of care. So when we look at year over year, where we see that we've seen drastic decreases in the overall population of people experiencing homelessness, starting back in 2005 when we started collecting this data as a state to 2020. So we've seen decreases to about 10,000 persons. There is, for our current data, we're a bit higher than we were in 2020. Part of that is driven from the folks seeking asylum from the southern border are included in our homeless counts, and so there's a bit of an increase here. But where we haven't seen significant increases or decreases in homelessness is with our chronic homelessness population. So that's for folks who are literally homeless, living on the street in the shelter for longer periods of time, and where the head of the household has a disability. So we have work that we'll need to do, and really focusing also on how to support people who are experiencing chronic homelessness. So our executive order that started this work was signed by Governor Pritzker in 2020, the executive order to fight homelessness, and it was codified into law in July of 2023. So what was started by Governor Pritzker will continue now thanks to the Illinois General Assembly and advocates, and it creates an infrastructure for state of Illinois government to work together. So our 16-member agency of the Interagency Task Force on Homelessness, which includes the Illinois Housing Development Authority, DCEO, the Department of Human Services, Aging, Public Health. It includes the Department of Corrections and Juvenile Justice. It includes the Department of Employment Security and our schools, as well as the State Board of Ed, State Board of Higher Ed, and the Community College Board. So it was we needed to create our first plan to prevent and end homelessness and deliver it by June of 2022. And we're actually at the point right now where we are ending our first plan and moving towards the creation of our next plan. So our current plan is a 2-year plan that expires on June 30th of this year. So we're currently in the process of moving towards the creation of our next plan. And each year we must report our progress. And so this initiative that we are launching today is part of that plan. So we're so excited about that, the realization of the plan into our work here today. So our plan includes over 100 activities across policy, program, and processes. And we have a foundational goal of understanding how to reduce the racial disparities that exist in homelessness. We know that African Americans are overrepresented in the population of those who are unhoused. About 14% of Illinois residents identify as Black, and about 61% of those experiencing homelessness are Black. And so we next month are releasing a report for our Racial Equity Roundtable on Black homelessness to have some concrete recommendations on what we can do at the state level to address Black homelessness. And then we have four pillars. So the first is around building more affordable and permanent supportive housing, which is the gold standard housing for folks experiencing chronic homelessness. Bolstering our safety net, which includes everything from supporting people before they lose homes, so preventing homelessness to providing shelter for those who need it. Securing financial stability, so ensuring that there's access to work for those who are able to work, and for those who are unable to work, access to benefits that they're eligible for. So this project will fall squarely within the secure financial stability pillar. And then closing the mortality gap. So we know that the average age of death for an individual who is experiencing chronic homelessness is in their early 50s. So we have significant work to do around reduction of the disparity. So today is part of the partnership between our continuums of care, where there are a number of COC leads who are here today. And a COC is not one person or one agency, right? A COC is a community-wide group that is a policy and planning body around homelessness for your community. And that COCs are funded and supported, and their infrastructure is through HUD. And that there can be representatives from COCs from all over the community. So it includes people who are persons with lived experiences of themselves being homeless, nonprofit homeless service providers, faith-based organizations, your school districts, universities, inclusive of workforce organizations that may be part of a local continuum of care. And part of the responsibilities include operating the data system, the homeless management information system, planning, and applying for federal grants. So we in Illinois have 19 continuums of care. You can see the map here on the left, and that we are unique in our state where we don't have a balance of state where there's in some states, you might have 2 or 3 large continuums, and then the rest of the state would be within a balance of state. We in Illinois have 19 states, 19 COCs, and some are one county. So you can see here in Urbana-Champaign COC or Sangamon County has one continuum, where in the Northern Illinois COC or the Northwestern COC has multiple counties that are part of that planning and policy body. So your COC may be your community is part of a COC that you can see on the map here. And then the map on the right are the classifications that are provided to the COC. So being rural, major city, largely suburban, or largely rural. So over most of our state is a largely rural COC. We do have Cook County as a major city, and then Champaign, Sangamon, and as other largely, and then other areas like Peoria and East St. Louis that are largely suburban and considered largely suburban with suburban Cook County. So this is how HUD classifies our COCs. So I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can continue with our agenda. So I will pass it on. Thank you.
So now we're going to turn it over to Tammy Stone from DCO to walk through the motto and other specifics.
I was gonna say it might help if I unmute. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been a pleasure working with you and your group and getting this opportunity together. It's actually a very exciting initiative. I think there's a lot of rooms for creativity, collaboration, system development, system change. So it's really going to be an exciting opportunity, I think, for everybody to get around and come up with some real impacts when we're looking at working with homeless individuals and providing security through eventually employment. So the basis of this is this is funded through the Job Training and Economic Development Grant, which was heavily funded years ago under ARPA funding. It is now transitioned, and so we're actually receiving this money through general revenue. But the intention is, when we got together, it was, our department, Office of Employment and Training, and of course Christine's department. And then we had some other individuals that assisted us. Carrie Thomas with IDEF was working with us on this plan development, along with Jennifer, who's with the Fry Foundation. And they have a pilot project that's in Chicago. So they brought a lot of good information in the development of this. So this has been really a group effort of developing this. And for the LWIAs, if you have not looked at the Home Illinois plan, it's definitely worth looking at. The link is right there in this PowerPoint. We'll send that to you. It's got some great information in that. And that's one of the things that Christine definitely spearheaded. But what we're doing with this particular one is we're standing up the strategy 3, which is securing financial stability. And you can take a look at, like I said, in the plan, and see the information around that. But the intention is literally just partnering, getting relationships, partnerships, networks developed, so that we can have a better process and method of working with individuals who are experiencing homelessness. So what our intention is, once again, this is a pilot project. We're looking at funding between 3 to 5 continuum of care areas, to respond to this. We're looking at services and how we can better implement services to these homeless individuals, and actually providing systemic change in the way we're doing business. So really the intended result is to improve employment opportunities and financial stability for those individuals who are struggling with housing, permanent housing situations, and providing, sustainable quality of life for these individuals. The last sentence down there just basically talks about the funding source. It is through general revenue funding. This is going to be a 2-year opportunity, and we will have a planning cycle within this. So we can go ahead to the next slide. Okay, just for your information, for the applications, the lead application has to be either the lead continuum of care organization, or it can be the local workforce investment area. The reason for this is because that's kind of codified in the JTED law as far as who's eligible to apply for JTED. But the thing is, the lead applicant could be, like, say, an LWIA, but the program can be ran. You can partner with a Continuum of Care, and the Continuum of Care could run the program. So this is a very open process of partnering and who's going to play what role in this particular opportunity. So just because the one of the things that I have to point out is the Continuum of Care that is a government entity is not eligible to apply for this. And once again, that's because of the reason of the eligibility within the JTED rules. But you can partner with the LWIA, and LWIAs that are government agencies are available. They can apply because they were included in our legislation as entities that are eligible. So any LWIA can apply, even if you're in a government seat. A Continuum of Care can apply if you're not for profit, but a Continuum of Care that's in a government seat cannot. But we strongly want you to partner with your LWIA in that area. And then once again, in this partnership, then you can identify what the roles are and who's going to be managing this specific project. So I just want to make sure that was clear, that, just because you're in a Continuum of Care with the government, we really need your partnership with the local LWIA so that we can develop this program and get some good momentum behind this. Once again, for participants, we're looking at the homeless population. Our target population are those in shelters or those participating in rapid rehousing program. So those are the individuals that we're reaching out to, is in the shelters and in rapid rehousing program. This falls within our JTED rules, which defines people as unemployed, underemployed, or underrepresented. So this is considered to be like a special population that we're serving under this particular NOFO. Okay, we can go ahead and advance. And like the map Christine had, we took that map and we kind of but we added the Continuum of Care. It's a lead Continuum of Cares to this particular map. So you can take a look at this map and you can see where the LWIAs are and then where the lead Continuum of Care resides within those LWIAs. So this is an opportunity for you, and we're going to be providing you with more information along this line too. If you don't have those relationships, this is a good tool for you to take a look at it and say, Okay, this is, you know, the Southern Illinois is going to be looking at Southern Illinois Continuum of Care. And the other thing I want to bring into picture here too is you can do this regionally. So if you wanted to have multiple continuum of cares involved with it or multiple LWIAs, that's a possibility too. So the program design is really, and who's going to be involved in it is really up to you guys and what makes the most sense for your area. Whether you do this, you know, regionally, whether you have a couple LWIAs and a continuum of care, like in Southern Illinois, it could be maybe 25 and 26, partner with Southern Illinois Continuum of Care, but it's entirely up to you guys, your structure and what makes the most sense for your area and your regions. What we have on the other side just kind of gives you an example of the number of beds. So the beds that are in shelter facilities and rapid rehousing beds, just to give you a volume of those beds and kind of where they sit. We just wanted to provide that information. And once again, these slides will be provided to you so you can take a, you know, deeper look in all of this. Go ahead and advance to the next one. Okay, so the whole purpose of today is a meet and greet. And it's developing relationships, developing partnerships. And it's to have an open conversation of how can we utilize this opportunity to the best of our abilities to really make some change in the way, you know, we do our work and the way that we work with individuals that are homeless, and to make systemic change and to view this from the customer's perspective too, and how we can really impact our work by working together. So in the application or in the NOFO, and you'll find this information in there too, what we require in the NOFO at a minimum is a partnership between a local COC and a local workforce investment area. And we need at least one or more organizations that operate a rapid rehousing or a shelter area. So we want to make sure that we're bringing in those individuals that are involved with rapid rehousing and shelter. So at a minimum, we need one COC, one LWIA, and at least one organization that represents shelters or rapid rehousing. We would like to see this eventually, you know, in a memorandums of understanding that outlines everybody's roles and responsibilities. But with this opportunity, we're providing a 6-month planning process. So you'll have 6 months, you know, if selected, your application is selected, you'll have 6 months to really sit down with your group and your team and plan out your strategies and your program design. And then, you know, codify all of the agreements and memorandums of understanding. You know, the memorandums of understanding just basically identifies roles, responsibility, timelines. But once again, you'll have the opportunity to codify that during the planning process. In the NOFO, we would like to see at least commitment letters. So, you know, saying, yes, we are committed to work on this, and part of our process in the planning process is to codify that and put them in memorandums of understanding. And partnerships should be established with other organizations too, obviously, community-based organizations. You've got community action agencies that offer, like, you know, weatherization, those types of things. So whatever other organization, faith-based organizations within your community, you know, any types of homeless shelters, other organizations should be included in this partnership too. So we really want a holistic approach that's taking everybody in the community, working around this to come up with a really good systemic approach on serving. And as I said before, we do have a 6-month planning period. So we definitely want to see at least the commitment letters inside the application. But, you know, we want to, with a 6-month planning process is really going to give you the opportunity to get some legs behind this project and get it built out. I'm just going to look here real quick. We did have one question. Just to clarify, our local workforce is not interested in applying. Can our COC partner with the surrounding COC to submit a joint application? COCs can apply with joint COCs too, but a local workforce needs to be a partner in that. So they may want to, you may want to look for a local workforce organization that will want to come in with that also. And the local workforce does not have to apply. They can be a partner organization with a COC. So as long as the COC is qualified and eligible to apply, then that COC would want to reach out to the local workforce organization and make sure they have a partnership agreement with them. So I just wanted to answer that. Okay, let's go ahead to the next slide. Just information here, you know, once it's again, the funding's from general revenue, we've got $5 million. It's not to exceed $2 million, which is a sizable amount of money. You have to have a pretty darn good application that's going to let us know what you're going to be spending that on if you're coming in for the maximum amount. We're looking at serving anticipated 3 to 5 areas or 3 to 5 awards. There's no matching requirement, and we do have, pre-awards costs would be available if needed, along with indirect costs as allowable. So we'll skip on to the next one. Okay, so what we want to do now, and we've got about 30 minutes left, we're going to divide you into 3 different groups. As Christine had said earlier, we've got the Northern, Central, and Southern. One of the things we want to do is we've got a couple Jamboards, so we want you guys to be very interactive and really participate in this. We wanted to define a problem, so keep the informed of what you're thinking about with an opportunity like that, and what are the specific needs of customers. Then, just as a quick exercise, just like a little mapping exercise, what do each of your organizations bring to the table? What can we provide that would assist these individuals? What can what can the LWIAs provide? What can the Continuum of Cares provide? The LWIAs in many cases can bring in employers, they can bring in training providers, where the Continuum of Cares have the shelters, rapid rehousing, and all types of resources. So what do each of you bring to the table? And then after that, the last slide, I believe, is, and my PowerPoint's gone. But it's one of the questions that we want to get to is how are you going to collaborate? So what do you think that you guys could do? Next steps in developing, how are we going to collaborate? So what is the process of what can we do now? What are the next steps on our collaboration and working together? So we're going to break you out in regions now, like North, Central, and Southern. And Kristen's going to do that. And you guys are already pre-assigned. And then once we're done with this exercise, and we'll come back into this room, and then we'll have just our final comments and results based upon our breakout sessions. So thank you, everybody, so much.
Okay, so I'm going to open the breakout rooms. And so you're already pre-assigned by Central and Southern, or Central and Northern. And then if you are not seeing a breakout room, disclaimer, pop up saying join this breakout room, that means that you are in the Southern region.
Kirsten, I'm going to the Central, right? Let me see.
Yeah, Shannon's in Central, so
This
looks
Northern.
Looks like you're going to Northern. Okay. So the people who should be with me in Southern are Jessica Pauley, Tony Furman, Jordan McBride, Sarah Hopkins, Mike Haptonstall, Lynn Carlin, Colleen Mahoney, Erica Travelsteed, and Sherlina Chahan. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names. I apologize. But if any of you are actually supposed to be, or if you're actually from Central or Northern regions, please let me know and I'll move you accordingly.
Kristen, this is Sherlina. I should be in the North region.
Okay, thank you.
This is Mike Haptonstall. I should probably be in the Central region.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This is Jessica Pauley. Lynn Carlin and I should be in the same one probably as Jamie. I'm gonna butcher her last name, Corda H. She's on our COC board.
Okay, so you would be in the Northern. So Jessica, you said you, and who else? I'm sorry.
Oh, Jamie, she just joined. She must have moved over to ours. Never mind. We're good then.
Oh, okay.
And this is Colleen. I am a state employee and working with Christine Haley, and just started last week. So I think I'm just listening in, and yeah, probably won't have learning about the Southern region.
Okay. Okay. Jamie Corda says that she's without a mic today for Jessica, for you and your other team member. So she said she might have to drop off.
Okay.
Did you need to be in the Northern region, Jessica, or?
No, we're fine. This is fine.
Okay.
COC is fairly large, so we cover quite a big area. So this will be
Okay, that sounds good. Lisa, did you need to hop somewhere else, or are you sticking with us? Lisa, you're on mute if you're talking to me.
I said, yes, I'm going to stick here because I might have to just jump off.
Okay, sounds good. So for all of you who are in the room with me this morning, if you want to go ahead and just tell us who you are and what where you're from, that'd be great. So we'll go ahead and whoever wants to start. Let's start with Tony. I'll pick on Tony.
Sure. Tony Furman, Director of Employment and Training for Madison County. So we're southwestern Illinois. Jamie, since she doesn't have a mic, Jamie is my counterpart in the east side of the southern part of state, LWIA 23. Like you have a whole bunch of counties over there, right, Jamie? So we do the same thing. We administer
We had a good conversation, I know, in the central region. And we will share the Jamboards with everybody too, so you can see all the comments. It just might be good to, to take a look at when you're doing your planning and, partnerships as developing this grant. So important dates are this, NOFO was released March 14th. We anticipate the start date will be July 1st, and it'll be a 2-year grant, so it'll end June 30th. One of the things I did not put on here, which when it's due, and I believe it's May 5th is when your applications are due, but I need to double check on that. Strongly recommend that you guys attend the session on March 26th. The registration link is here. You can go to if you Google DCEO NOFOs and then you go to Home Illinois, that information's there too. Or if you go to Illinois WorkNet and you can Google Illinois WorkNet Home Illinois NOFO. And then you can find information on that site too. But March 26th, we will have a deeper dive into actually submitting an application, what the NOFO looks like, what the requirements are for the NOFO, the application. Like I said, I'm hopefully anticipating that we're going to have somebody talk about the Chicago project and just give you an idea of what they went through and what their program design is like and how their partnerships, materialized. So we're hoping to have them on there too. So it's a good opportunity for that. And then Josh, who's with our organization, goes through like the budgeting stuff and those requirements. We are going to try and add some additional sessions to this for sure, like maybe like on a grant writing, different types of things. We don't have those all in, totally finalized yet. But when we do, we will add them to the WorkNet site, and you can definitely pull them from there, and then we can send it to you guys too, everybody that's on this call. So go ahead to the next slide.
Hey, Tammy, can I ask you, questions. Yeah. We have an IWP special meeting to talk about, Lisa Jones is going to be there and KEB is going to be there. So I'm hoping the meeting that you guys have scheduled on the 26th is not during that same time.
Yeah, no, and we'll record it. So it'll be recorded.
Okay.
So if, or if any of your staff can attend, but we will definitely record that. And then you can go back and, visit the recording.
Okay. Ours is 10:30 to 2:30 or no, 12:30.
Okay. This is 1 to 3. So the technical assistance on the 26th will be from 1 to 3.
Okay.
Questions, thoughts, comments on the exercise. Was that helpful?
I have one quick question, Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be more beneficial for our local partners to put our heads together in advance of the TA webinar so we come prepared with questions? Or do you think it's probably more important for us to sit through that 2-hour webinar on next Tuesday and then reconvene afterwards?
I think if you get together and talk about it, I mean, the NOFO is out there. So, and it's not like a crazy long document. Maybe just peruse the NOFO real quick. And I recommend everybody do that. Take a quick look at the NOFO just to see what the intent is and what the services are and everything. So yeah, definitely. I would recommend getting together before. And then if you may have very specific questions at that point.
Thank you.
And Kirsten and Tammy, I was in the Northern group and I think they were just getting going on talking about how they could collaborate. What's the best way for people to, exchange information based on those breakout rooms? Kirsten or Tammy, can we send those out? Do we want to?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to send out documents. I've got the contacts. I've got the names and the emails for all of the COC lead agencies. And then I've got the names of I think it's the directors of the LWIAs. So those are your primary contacts. Now, of course, you may reach out to somebody and they may say, okay, you need to talk to this person. But we're going to send that out. And then I've also got like a correlation. So it's kind of like, this is where the COC is, and this is the LWIA, and this is the region they're sitting in. So you can kind of take a look at that and say, okay, I'm in this area, and this is a COC, in that specific area. We do have a couple LWIAs that do not have a lead COC in it. like a 23, I think was one, but they're in the South Central area. So they would probably, you know, obviously fall in that South Continuum of Care. So that will follow up along with this PowerPoint, and we'll also post this. Kristen, will this be posted on you guys' site or on WorkNet?
We can do either. Typically with these grant NOFO kind of webinars, we just do WorkNet.
Yeah, okay, that's
and
fine, because we
I'm
actually have
happy-
in WorkNet, we have the meet and greet on there,
Okay.
and then we have a spot for the recording.
Okay,
So
great.
you can access it there, and then we'll also send a link to all of that to everybody that was on this call.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll send it to Illinois WorkNet's team to put it up there.
Perfect.
All right. Any other questions?
Do we have anything in the chat at all, or did we address everything?
I think you addressed everything. Nothing else is in my chat.
You're good to the chat. I have, yeah, that's contact in the chat. But yeah, and I, like I said, once again, I have the list of all the contacts for the lead COCs and the LWIAs. So that will be coming out to you shortly.
I'd just like to ask one question. We went through 3 specific subpopulations in the exercise. Is there, was that just like for brainstorming? Is there a specific reason those 3 were lifted?
No, just for brainstorming. We just,
Okay.
like, you know, different like groups, you know, some an individual with a child would need different services than maybe an elderly person or a teenager. No, it was just for brainstorming. Totally.
Yeah. Okay, because we'd want to write it around the local demographics and needs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes. No, that was just to get some ideas of different populations and different needs based upon, you know, circumstances.
Okay, thank you.
We had Sarah asked for you northern folks who were kind of just starting your conversation off, if we could share out the names to everybody, Tammy, and we would need to get everyone's approval on this call to be able to send out each other's emails to everyone. So so let me approach it this way. If you don't want your email to be shared out with everyone else who is already in your region calls, could you private chat me before you get off? But if you don't mind if your email is sent out to everyone else in your region, then don't do anything.
Mm-hmm. And the information we're going to share is just, I mean, it's actually just public information. So it's just the Continuum of Care name and email, along with the LWIA director name and email. And all of that, you know, should be public information out there anyway.
Okay, yeah. So everyone who's on this call, their email is public information.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We did talk a little bit in our group about the WIOAs being grouped in a different kind of region, and I hope a WIOA can talk about it, that they grouped differently than those individuals. So if a WIOA can help me, like we talked about economic region 4 or something to that effect, so what the question was in our call was, is it, would this NOFO want us to do a larger regional approach? Because the economic region 4, I think, had like 6 COCs in it. Or is it trying to be in a very targeted local implementation to scale up statewide?
Well, and once again, I think that needs to be determined out in the field for you guys. Does it make more sense to do more of a local approach than a regional approach? You know, a regional approach, depending upon what your region looks like, it could have different needs in different areas. So it's a conversation that you really need to have, you know, locally, what makes sense. And we're not dictating one way or the other, you know, that it needs to be like a one-on-one relationship or, you know, and, you know, some areas it may just be where there's one LWIA and one Continuum of Care, and that might make sense. But in other areas, I know there's like maybe a lead Continuum of Care with maybe 2 LWIAs, or there may be, you know, you just need to take a look at it and reach out to the appropriate, you know, partners at what makes sense and what makes sense from a system design perspective and most importantly, a customer perspective.
So Meredith, I did put in the chat our breakdown. So you see for the state, the different regions for the local workforce areas. And once they send out the information on the COCs, we can combine those two and see where there's some overlapping.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And that map that we've got in the PowerPoint, it kind of shows you the lead COCs and where they're at in conjunction with LWIAs. And then what I'm going to be sending out is just the contacts for each of those. And then we do a cross-reference between on an Excel spreadsheet that shows this is a COC, this is the LWIA, connected, and this is the region that they're in. So we'll provide that kind of cross-reference too. Any other questions? We are over our time, but like I said, we don't want to keep you guys any longer than this. Thank you so much. I think it's a great opportunity. I really hope everybody, decides that they want to try and come in for this. And once again, if you can attend the session next Wednesday, that would be, beneficial for sure. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.